Let's go to aws.amazon.com from your favorite browser. And if you still don't have an account with Amazon Web Service and you have to create an account with Amazon Web Service, if you are using another VPS or another server with another company, then it's not a problem. You can use that VPS server also. If you have an account with DigitalOcean, or if you have an account with GoDaddy or whatever the server provider you have, you can use that VPS server also. But why I am preferring Amazon Web Service is that the billing of Amazon Web Service is different from other providers. Most providers will be giving you a constant bill amount, but here we have an elastic kind of billing, that is a pro rata based billing. Whenever we use something, then only they will be charging. And also we have an 1 year free option called free tier. And here we have an 1 year a pricing option by Amazon in which we can use their server for 1 year if your usage is a kind of optimized or a very small usage. And as the usage increases, they will be charging us. So it's a very flexible kind of thing, and we can start any number of instances, any number of server from our account easily. So that's why I am leaning towards Amazon AWS. But if you have an account, or if you have a provider, your favorite provider, VPS provider, you can get a VPS server from them also. So here we are signing into the console. If you already have an account, you can sign into the console, and if you don't have an account, you have to sign up for that. So I already have an account, so I am going to log in here, click on sign in, and this is a AWS account homepage. Let's click on services and click on EC2. This is a service that we are going to. EC2 is actually VPS servers, so they have named it as EC2, which is a virtual server. We are going to launch a new virtual server. So click on launch instance, and here we are going to select Amazon machine image. Let's select Ubuntu server 16, select, and here for demonstration I am selecting the free tier eligible T2 micro. Configure instance details. Here leave all the options like this. We don't have to configure anything here. Next, add storage, and add storage we have 8 GB. If you want to, you can increase the storage here, but I'm preferring 8 GB because I'm just demonstrating it. So let's keep it as 8 GB and click on add tags. So tag is something which helps us to differentiate our instances from others. So this is our first instance we are going to create. Maybe we will be having many other instances already created, one for a PHP application and one for another server Java application. So to differentiate the instances, these instances will be having a code only, so we cannot differentiate instances. So in order to differentiate instances, we need to add a key and a value. Let's add a tag. Here the key is something called as for VoIP demo. The value will be for VoIP demo. No problem, we can have the same thing. Next, configure security groups. And security group is actually just like a firewall we have for our server. We can configure which port to be open and from which IP it should be accessed. Just like we set a firewall for a server. So here we are going to create a new security group VoIP. Let's name it as for VoIP demo. Just a description for that security group that we are going to create. And by default, they have already enabled TCP port 22, which is used for SSH connection. That is, we can connect to the server using a command line interface using any SSH clients like PuTTY or Bitwise or any other clients that you use. That's why they have already enabled port 22. And for the purpose of our VoIP server, we have to enable UDP ports 5060, 5160 and 5161. We are going to do that right now. We click add role and we have to go to custom UDP role and the port 5060, and we are going to copy this thing because this means that all IP address can access this port, because we don't know from which address the user is going to use the VoIP client application or a VoIP phone to connect to our server. So we have to use this. And if you are using a private network like an office network, which you already know from which IP address the calls will be coming in, then you can configure it like this. So here I am configuring it for global because I don't know from which IP address I am going to connect the server. I am keeping it like this. Next, we have to add the next port, which is 5160, which is also a custom UDP port. I'm going to copy this. One more port I'm going to add, which is also a custom UDP port, 5161, and that is also using the same IP access rule. So these UDP ports, these three UDP ports are called as signaling ports. That is just like we saw in acknowledgement, then hang up. This kind of signals are sent to these ports. And once the connection is established between two phones or two computers or whatever, then it will be switching to RTP. Just like we see in our introductory sessions, this RTP protocol is actually responsible for transferring the media. Maybe it's a voice call, so voice is a media. Then if it's a video call, then video is a media. So this RTP protocol is responsible for handling the media in between. So as a next step, we need to configure ports for our RTP. So click add rule. This is also UDP port. We are going to have from 10,000 to 50,000 because we need as much as RDP ports. So it will be dynamically allocated. Then global access, and that's all about the security group. Now we are okay to have our server. Our ports are all open, not all the ports, but the VoIP specific ports are open so that a client could connect to our server. And click on review and launch. We will have an overview of whatever we did so far here, and it's giving a warning that your VoIP demo security group is open to the world because we have configured global access. From all the IP address the server can be accessed. So that's why it's giving the warning. It's okay with that because we actually deliberately did it because we don't know from which IP address a user will be accessing it. And now let's click on launch. And here they are asking to create a key pair. In AWS server instances, they will not be using a username and a password. Instead, they will be using a username, and for password, they will be using a public private key pair. So public key is what is distributed by the server publicly, and private key is what we have to keep it ourselves. That is the actual key that we are going to use for authentication. And by combining the private key and the public key, if it matches, then the access will be granted. So it's a kind of very secure. They will not be using a username and password just in case the password is lost or the password is being hacked. The whole server can be hacked. So this kind of things will not be happening here because they'll be using a private and public key pair in order to grant access. So let's create a new key pair. The key pair name will be for VoIP demo, and we can download the key pair, and I'm going to save this key pair inside a folder called AWS key pair with the name as for VoIP demo, and the type is certificate file, which will be automatically selected. Click on save and make sure you are saving it in a very secure place because once you lose the key, you will not be able to access the server. Our server configuration is now ready. Let's click on launch instance and the server instance will be launched. You can click here and see the status. So instance state is pending. It may take a few minutes before it turns green so that we can have the server accessible. And now it's turned green and the instance state is running. And go to bitwise.com and click on SSH client and just download it here. Download the Bitwise SSH client, this one. So this is a file we need to download, and I'm going to save it in the same folder. Since I'm using Windows, I'm using this application, and for Mac and Linux there will be other SSH client applications. You can use that. Search in internet and you can find a good SSH client application. Click on it and go ahead with installation just like you install any other application in your computer. And I'm already having it installed, that's why it's asking me to upgrade, or else you will be having an option to install. Okay, let me upgrade it here. And the installation is complete. Click OK. And we have the window of Bitwise SSH client right now. Let's click on new profile and it will ask you to save the profile at first. Let's save it as for VoIP. So saving the profile actually helps us to have everything configured, and next time if you want to connect, just select the profile and connect. You don't have to type everything once again. And we have saved our profile. Now we need to fill the information. The host is actually, go to your instance, click on it, and the host is actually this one or this one. Both are same because this IP address is actually the same thing that they have mentioned in the domain name. This domain name points to this IP address. But the problem is that whenever you shut down your instance and then restart your instance, this is not a dedicated IP address for you. This IP address can change. So in our VoIP, while configuring the VoIP phones or VoIP applications or VoIP client applications, we will be asking the user to save this IP address for server. So whenever the server is restarted, if this IP address is changing, actually there is a problem because we have to inform all the users to change the IP address of the server. So that is a very annoying task. So for that, we have to get an Elastic IP from Amazon. So click on Elastic IP. What Elastic IP does is, we have to pay a minimal cost for maintaining an Elastic IP for a month. They will be having monthly billing for Elastic IPs. So the good thing is that if you configure an Elastic IP, that IP address will be dedicated for this instance. Let's have this instance named as for VoIP demo. So for this instance, the IP address will be dedicated. So any number of times you restart this instance, this server instance, the IP address will not change. So let's have a Elastic IP for this. Click on Elastic IPs. Let's click on allocate new address. Click on allocate. And we got an IP address like this, 18.221.130.92. Click on close, and this is a newly allocated IP address. We got the IP, but we didn't allocate it to our instance that we created, the server that we created. So click on that, select it, and in actions, associate address. Here we are going to associate our address to an instance. So this is the instance that we need to select, and that's why I gave a name for that instance so that I can easily differentiate which is the instance that we are going to use for the VoIP demo. Click on this and select the private IP, which is the IP address that we got right now, and that's all. Click on associate and the association will happen. So this was the instance that we created, and the newly got Elastic IP was assigned to our instance. Okay, let's name it 1 second for VoIP demo. Newly created instance, we have the Elastic IP. You can see the same thing here also. And this is a private IP address which they allotted. This will change the next time you restart the server. But even if you restart the server, you can always reach the server using this IP. So this will be constant. And we are using this IP for our host in the Bitwise SSH client. So instead of using this always changing IP address, we are going to use the dedicated Elastic IP for our host. Then the username is, since we are having an Ubuntu server, the username is Ubuntu. That's a global username for all the Ubuntu servers they give to the users. And you may wonder why they are using such an insecure username, because the security actually lies in the public-private key combination. So they don't have to keep the username a very complex one, because there is already a extensive security applied because of the key pair valuation. And now we have the host, the port that we need to connect to the SSH terminal, and the username. Now instead of password, we need to configure the key pair. And the initial method will be selecting as public key, and then click on client key manager. Here I already have a key imported, and this is for another server. Let's import the key that we saved for this server, for our instance that we just created. Import and select the key pair that we selected. Sometimes we have to select all files, and this is the key the certificate file. Open. Just have a comment for VoIP demo also, just to differentiate it. Import. And our key was imported. We can differentiate it by seeing our comment here. Then close it. And from, let's go to Client Key Manager and check what is the profile name for that. For VoIP client demo, we have the profile name as profile1. Okay. And here from client key, select the profile1, because in this profile we have saved the key. And let's now save this profile. Save. Okay. And next time if you open, let's close it. And next time if you open the Bitwise client, you can load the profile. It's already loaded anyways. You can load the profile for VoIP and everything will be back. We don't have to fill it once again. All the key and everything will be selected. Click on login. And we have a host key given by the server. Let's save it in our computer. Accept and save. And yes, we have the SSH terminal logged in. And also we have a file transfer window where we can transfer our local files to the remote computer. So this is a remote computer file system and this is a local computer file system. And this is a terminal. So we'll be using the terminal. We will not be using the file system anyways. We'll be using the terminal always. If you see the present working directory, you can see that we are inside the home Ubuntu directory. And that's all about it. We created the AWS instance and Ubuntu AWS instance. We configured everything. We configured the security group. We configured all the other details for the EC2 server. And then we downloaded a Bitwise client, SSH client application. You can use any SSH client application to connect from your computer. If it's a Mac or a Linux, you can use other applications also. And using our Bitwise application, we configured a profile using the username, Ubuntu and the key as public key. Then we imported the public key and connected to the server. And also we created a new Elastic IP so that the IP address will be stable and it will not be changing on every server restart. And we have the terminal logged in right now. So this is the control terminal. This is a command line or the terminal of our EC2 server that we just launched. And we are going to install Asterisk. Asterisk is a very popular open source VoIP server. To get more details about Asterisk, just go to asterisk.org and you can see the Asterisk website. So it's an open source VoIP server and you can see various options. They are providing various services. They have paid as well as free services. Anyway, the server is open source. That is a big part. We will be installing this Asterisk server in our Amazon EC2 instance, which can be accessed by this SSH terminal. Start from step 1. So the first step will be to set up and update the time using NTP, that is a network time protocol. So we will install the NTP date package. Almost all the commands should be prefixed with a sudo command. The sudo command runs the rest of the things as a super user. So that's why we have the sudo command placed before all the commands, because these commands need to be executed as super user. So we place the sudo. And let's have the first command. This command actually install the NTP date package so that we can use the network time protocol to update our system time. Let's copy this. Right click, copy, and go to terminal. Just right click and it will paste the contents. You don't have to right click and paste. Just do a right click and the contents will be placed. Press enter and the command will be running. Okay, we have finished the first command. So we have the NTP date package installed right now. Now we can update our server time from the network time server pool.ntp.org. Let's copy it, paste it and run the command. It's fetching the time from pool.ntp.org, and the server time was adjusted like this. Since we are installing a VoIP server, time should be accurate in the server. Sometimes server will be having a wrong time configured, so we need to adjust it. Let's now install another package called NTP, which will automatically update time periodically. So I have pasted the command, run the command, and it's asking whether you want to install. Yes, enter, and NTP has been installed. Let's clear the terminal and run date command so that we can check what exactly is the date. It's a UTC, the time zone is UTC, and the date is September 15. The date and time setup is okay right now. Let's now have few more packages which we need to install as prerequisites before we install our Asterisk package. And in this step we are going to update the repository list for our Linux server. So repository list is actually the list of softwares that are available to download into your Linux computer. So periodically the software vendors and Ubuntu Canonical, Ubuntu company itself, they will be updating the software list. It's better we can get the updated list of softwares periodically. So that's why we are using this command apt-get update. It will fetch all the updated list of softwares. It will not fetch any software, but only the list will be fetched. You can run it and you can see all the list, the XML list has been downloaded. And now we will install all the packages that we need for our Linux kernel version. So we are using the command apt-get install Linux herders, and uname -r will give the current Linux version you have. This will give the Linux version you have. So we are actually installing all the Linux headers that we need for this version. Just copy the command, paste, and run it. Okay, so everything is up to date. Linux headers is a new and latest version, so everything is up to date. And if you're typing this command manually, you have to take care of this, because this symbol is not actually a single quote. It's actually the symbol that you have on the left top side of your keyboard, this one. And now let's install another package called Build Essentials. Since we are downloading the source code of all the packages, that is mainly the Asterisk packages, as you can see, it's an open source system. We will be downloading the source code and we will compile it in our computer, and we will use our application. So we have to install few things that are required to compile the software. So that's why we are including the Build Essential package in our system. So we need to install this Build Essential package. Just go to the command prompt, right click, paste, and then enter. It may take a while because it's actually downloading all the packages that need to build the source code. It's now complete, and now let's make a new directory called download so that we can download all the source code into that downloads folder and compile it from there. So to make a directory, issue the command mkdir downloads. So a downloads folder has been created, and let's go into the downloads. I will copy the command and paste it here because it belongs to here. Go to downloads. Now we are inside the downloads folder, and after creating and going inside the downloads folder, we need to download the DGM Asterisk hardware device interface, that is a DHDI source code, and then we will compile the source code and we will make it executable and install it. So since everything is open source, we can download the source code, but we cannot use the source code as it is because it contains the program files, the computer program, which cannot be executed directly. We have to compile it and then we have to install it. So we have already went inside the downloads folder, so we don't need to have that. Now let's do one thing. Let's copy this. We will be downloading the gzip file, the source code of the DHDI package, using the command wget. Copy, paste, sudo wget, then the package URL. Enter, and you can see it has been downloaded. An 8 MB file has been downloaded into the downloads directory. You can use the GUI and refresh it so that you can see the download has been complete. It's a zip file. We need to unzip it, and for unzipping a zip file we are using a command called tar with options ZXVF and the zip file name. So it's saying that untar the zip file and save it to a folder with the same name. And you can see it has been untarred into a folder with the same name. You can see this folder. And now we have to go inside that folder. We have to cd into that folder. You can just execute the command. We are always copying and cd and enter. And now we can compile the program using make command, sudo make all, enter. May take a while to finish the compilation. The compilation has been done and now we can install it using the command sudo make install. Copy the command, just paste it here and it will run. Sudo make install, enter. These two packages are actually needed by Asterisk to perform the server operations. So that's why we are installing these two prior to installing the Asterisk server. So now let's go ahead and install this. And before that we have to go back to our downloads folder. Because we are currently inside this folder, we need to go back. cd/downloads, cd/downloads. Just clear this. Now let's go ahead and download the zip file for libpri. And you can see the download has been complete. Let's unzip the file. You can see the zip file has already been downloaded here. Refresh and you can see the zip file. We now unzip the zip file using the command tar and the folder name. The unzip has been done. Now let's go inside this folder and compile and then install. Let's go inside the folder c libpri and then we can issue the command for compilation, the sudo make all, and just like in previous case, sudo make all and sudo make install. It's a small program, so it will be compiling quickly. And sudo make install. Okay, the installation has been done. It was very instantaneous, so it quickly installed. And now we are ready to install our Asterisk server. This is also an open source program. You can use the wget to download, or you can go to downloads and you can see the link to download Asterisk. You have the links to download these two packages also, download and latest version. And we don't want to download it anyways because we are going to install in the remote computer, the Amazon computer, not in the current computer, in my Windows computer. We have to use the wget to download the files. Copy and paste it. Oh, I'm sorry. We are currently inside the libpri directory. We have to go back. Let me clear the screen. We have to go back to cd/downloads. We have to include the commands here also. Yes, actually I missed to use the command. Okay, and now let's download using the wget command. You can see the Asterisk is currently being downloaded and it has been saved into the directory. Just execute the ls command and you can see it has been downloaded. Or you can go to the GUI, the SFTP window, and you can see Asterisk has been downloaded. Just like in previous step, now we can untar or unzip this file. Copy and paste the command to unzip the file, and you can see file has been getting unzipped. The unzip is now complete, and now we need to go inside the folder Asterisk, contrib and scripts. You can see, refresh and you can see the unzipped folder Asterisk, contrib and scripts. So we need to go inside this directory from our command prompt. We need to go inside cd asterisk, then inside Asterisk cd contrib, then cd scripts. You can do it in a single step. Just include the cd command, and now we can install the prerequisites using the program called install prereq. So this will install the prerequisites, all the prerequisites. We can execute this program from the command prompt using the command sudo /install prereq and then followed by an install command. Sudo /install prereq followed by install. Enter. Yes. Proceeding with the prerequisite installation, it may take a while. Now it's asking for a numeric code for the region of your phone system. Since my server is operating from USA, you can see the region is Ohio. So let me search for Ohio country code. Okay, actually that's a US state, so it's better to have the US country code. That will be 1. And so let's give it as 1 and press tab so that OK will be selected and press enter. You don't always have to enter the country code of the server, because if you are implementing it in Ohio and you are using it in India, then you have to enter the India telephone code here. Because right now I am not going to implement it in India, and also I am leaving it as 1. Click OK. Just press tab, OK will be selected, and press enter to proceed. And the install has been completed successfully. We got a message like this. Now let's do one thing. Let's go inside the asterisk folder. And now we can run the configure file, the configure program. You can see it's here inside the, let me go back, inside the asterisk folder you can have the configure. So we are going to run this program. Let me clear it and run configure. So it's building, may take a while to complete. And here you can see that the build configuration successfully completed. We have an asterisk logo and all here. Now as the next command we are going to make menu select. Actually the build configuration for menu select program was executed right now. We are going to compile it and run the menu select. From the menu select we can configure a few options that we need for the server. So let's, so same command. Let me copy the command sudo make menu select, copy, paste it and enter. It will ask for a menu, and we got our menu here. And in the menu select, make sure you are not configuring additional modules, because it may take plenty of disk space. But we have to enable the sound packages for core sound packages, then music on hold, and then extras. Let's do that. So we have the menu here. Currently the left menu is selected. If I use my down button, I can scroll down in the left menu, and you can see I just reached the core sound packages, and press the right button on your keyboard and the selector will go to the right side. Here I want to enable all the English packages. Select the one you want to enable and press enter. You can see the star symbol appear there. Enter, enter. It's already selected. So these are the main English packages. Now let's go to the left menu, press the left button and down arrow. Now the next option is selected on the left, and here also I have to enable all these sound packages. Just press the right button and it will go to the right. Scroll down, enter, down, enter, 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 enter and enter. Now let's go to the left side, press the left button and it will go to the left side, and press the down arrow. Then press the right arrow, will go to the right side, and let's enable all the English sounds. Enter, 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 and keeping on pressing enter till I reach the end of the English sound packages. Okay, so here it ends and next comes the French one. So I want to enable the English only. Press tab and you can see save and exit is selected and press enter. So this part is now complete, and let's go and make then install. Sudo make. Since it's a big program, it may take a while to complete the make command. The build is now complete. It took me around 10 minutes to complete the build. It actually depends upon the speed of the VPS server that you are having. So it's now finished. Now it's asking me to run the make install command to install it. So let's go ahead with the make install command, and make sure you are using sudo before the make install. So let's have the sudo here. Sudo make install, and the installation is now going on. Let me pause the video for a while. The installation has been complete. The installation is now complete. Let's now run the make samples and then make configure commands. You can have the reference documentation using the make samples. Let's sudo make samples, and now we have the make config command. Sudo make config. Okay, and now let's install the log rotate. Actually, Asterix will be saving the log, and once the log is full, if the log file is full, it will remove the log of the previous or the old logs from the file, and it will keep on rotating the log. So we are going to install that also. Log rotate. Okay, it has been installed. Now everything is installed. Let's now try to start our Asterix server. If no other issues or errors, it will start successfully. So this is a command etc initd asterisk start, and we get a green OK. Let's check the status by issuing the command sudo service, the command sudo service asterisk status. You can see a green dot here. Asterisk service is active and running. So we have successfully plus Control C. Okay, and we have successfully installed and configured our Asterix server. And as the next step, we need to configure the SIP file, the SIP configurations, as well as the extensions and the other things that we need to configure so that we can connect from a client device to our server. Let's now configure the dial plans. Extensions are actually the phone numbers, the VoIP phone numbers. For example, let's start from 5000, 5001, 5002. So these are the phone numbers, and in VoIP terms it's called as extension. And dial plan is what we define when a user dials this number. For example, if the user dials 5000, we are writing the dial plan as the 5000 number should be dialed. And in another case, if the user is dialing 100, we are writing the dial plan as open the voicemail and stuff like that. So dial plan is that we define what should happen when user dials a particular extension. And extensions are the list of numbers that is currently in the system, the VoIP server. So in order to configure that, we need to log into our server. So we are opening the Bitwise client, load profile. We have the profile loaded. I'm just demonstrating it once again. For VoIP, open, and we have all the things loaded. Click on login, and we have the server. So let's go to our terminal and let's type sudo service asterisk status, and you can see asterisk is now running fine. Control C. Okay. Now let's do one thing. Let's edit two files which are located at /etc/**. The two files we have to edit are, you can see here, extensions.configuration and sip.configuration. We have the steps defined inside this file. At first we are going to edit the sip.configuration. We cannot edit it directly because we don't have permission to edit it here. We should edit it as a root. So let's go to our terminal. For that we have to go into the directory. Our current working directory is, present working directory is home Ubuntu. Now we need to go inside the directory /etc/**. just like in the steps we have here, cd/etc/*, and now we are inside the asterisk directory. Let's now edit the sip.config. So this is a command, sudo nano. Nano is actually a text editor. So this is a text editor which we can use in Windows. It's a GUI, but nano is a text editor which we can use in the command shell itself, the terminal itself. I will show you how you can do that. It's very easy to use. And this is a file which we are going to edit, sip.config. Press enter and you are inside the sip.config. We cannot use mouse here, we have to use keyboard to navigate. You can click using a mouse, but it will not work here. You can right click on the mouse. If you copy something and paste, you can right click, but not for other things. You have to use the keyboard itself. And here we are going to paste the 2 or maybe 3, because we are going to demonstrate it in Windows, Android and iOS. So we have to register 3 numbers. So I have 3 numbers registered, 5000, 5001 and 5002. Type is friend, which means that it can have the calls without any security issues. Then secret is actually the password for that number, the username. This is actually the username itself. Then context is something we have to define in the other file. The other file means the extensions.conf file. Once we go to the extensions.conf, I will tell what exactly is the context. Actually, context means it's a group. There will be a context called default and numbers registered inside the default context. For example, some 100 numbers registered inside the default context will be a separate group. Now we have created another context called my phones, which we will be creating in the extensions.conf. Right now we are editing the zip config file. So when we edit the extensions config file, we will define this context. So in our context, we have a closed group in which the numbers we define will be inside that context. It will be a group called my phones. Like that. You will become more clear when we are editing the extensions configuration file. So right now we have this. So this is a number, type is friend, this is a password, then context, then host equal to dynamic means the host. By host we define the users that are connected, the peers, we can call them as peer. The peers that are connected to the server, we cannot actually say that they will be connecting from a particular IP, so their IP address will be changing. So I am defining as host equal to dynamic. So this is my first extension, that is the first number, that is 5000. And in the same way, I am defining other 2 numbers also. So we have totally we have 3 numbers here. Copy and go to our SIP configuration. Make sure you have some space on the top. Press enter and right click to paste it. So we have all these pasted. Let's delete the top line. Okay, so we have all the numbers pasted, and now we need to add few more settings to the sip.configuration. That is under the scroll down, and you can see a general section, a section starting with general label. This is a general label, or just after the general you can press enter and make some space here. Let's do one thing. Let's now check what are the configurations. So these, under the general we can have the configurations, the global configurations that we need for these numbers. If we define it here, we have to define those general configuration again and again for every number. So if you have to define some settings common for all the numbers, then you can have it in the general section. So we can have it in the general section. Let's see what are the configurations that we need to have in the general section. So this is a general session. Let's just like we have it here, and under that we need to paste the following contents. These are the contents that we need to paste. NAT, that is a network translation, is force, RPort and co-media. So this is actually required when we are using web servers like Amazon Web Service, which will be guarded by a NAT firewall or something. So the Amazon's web server is behind a NAT server, so sometimes our request will not go through this NAT server into our VPS server. In that case, we have to define this setting so that our request will be forcefully passing through the NAT server. And these two things we have to get from our Amazon Web Service. So in order to get these two things, we have to go back to the terminal. And for that, we need to save whatever we have till now. We added some numbers and all. We can save it by Control O, and it will ask whether we have to save in the same file name. Here, sip.config, yes, press enter, and the file will be saved. And now we need to exit the editor. Just press Ctrl X and you can exit. Or there is an easy way. When we are inside the editor, now we are inside the editor, we can open the Bitwise client. This is a cool feature which I love in Bitwise client. I can open multiple console terminals. I can edit the file here and I can open another terminal just by clicking this button. I will open another terminal to the same server itself. Now issue a command called ifconfig. So this is a result of our ifconfig file. The ifconfig command actually get the details of current network configuration. So our Ethernet adapter is Ethernet 0 and we have our Ethernet adapter is ETH0 and the address of our Ethernet adapter is 172.31.28.35 and we have to copy it from here and select it and it will be copied automatically. You can paste it here, right click, paste, and the local net is okay. Now make sure you are pasting it into the local net variable because this is a local, the Ethernet adapter address of the server we are having, and this is a subnet mask. You have the subnet mask also here, 255.255.240.0. just select it and it will be copied, paste, it's the same thing. And the next variable is extern IP, that is an external IP, which is the elastic IP, that is the IP that the server is having in the internet. So this is an internal IP address and this is an external IP address, which is the elastic IP address that we defined. You can see the elastic IP address by going to our EC2 console, or we have it in many places. This is our elastic IP, the host address. You can copy it, or we have it here. Many places we have. So I'm copying it from the Bitwise and I'm pasting it here. Now we have these two variables set. These two are the things that are changing when you change the server. Otherwise everything is the similar thing. And we have another variable called can reinvite, which actually helps the user to reinvite a user when there is a call. So I am setting it to no, just to reduce the call volume, the bandwidth. We have video support is currently set as yes, so that video calls are allowed in the system, in the server. Now we have DTMF mode. DTMF is actually the beep tone when we press the keys when we are in a call. For example, if you are calling customer support and they are saying press 1 to talk to our manager, press 2 to know your balance. So when we are pressing 1 or 2, there will be a beep sound. So that is a DTMF. So DTMF mode is currently set to a standard called RFC 2833. And we have another variable called qualify, which is currently set to yes. Qualify is actually in a scenario when we dial from my phone, which is having a number 5000 and I am dialing to 5001. The 5001s, even if it's not still registered in the system, if I am setting qualify as no, I will be getting a ring back. So I'm hearing a ring, but the 5001 number will not be ringing because he is not yet connected to the server. So if I set qualify equal to yes, which means that the ring back will be sent only if the number which I am trying to call is registered in the server, or else the call will be disconnected immediately. We have disallow equal to all. Disallow means we are disallowing all the codec except these things. Change to disallow equal to none means all the codecs will be supported and it will cause few problems call drops, no audio, things like that. So I am disallowing all at first, all the codecs at first, and allowing only the things I want. And I am allowing Opus, it's an audio codec, then GSM, which is an audio codec. Then I am allowing VP8 and H.264, those two are the video codecs. So these two audio codecs and these two video codecs are I am allowing. So codec is what we have discussed in the first session, which is actually required to compress our video or audio and send across the network. And I am setting NAT equal to yes, so that our server will come to know that it is working behind a NAT, a network address translation server, or a network address translation mechanism, so it will adopt accordingly. And let's now paste all these contents, copy and paste it under the general context equal to public. Let's go and paste it under the, maybe below the general is also okay. We have all the configuration pasted here, and we have all the SIP numbers 5000, 5001, 5002 pasted here. That's all with the sip.configuration file. Let's go ahead and save it. Control O, then enter, and Control X to exit. Now we need to edit the file called extensions.configuration. Extensions.conf. Yes, here is it. Extensions.configuration file. So we are going to edit it right now. For this also the steps are defined in our file. Let's go down, and here we are defining the context, my phones. So in extensions.conf, if you go to there, and so let's do one thing, let's get few space on the top and paste our context declaration and also the numbers. This is actually the dial plan. So the dial plan, this dial plan means like whenever some user dials the number 5000, redirect the call to 5000, the SIP 5000 number. Then once the call is finished, hang up the call. Just like that, if anyone dials the number 5001 from his phone, dial the person who is having 5001, and once the RTP is, the call is finished, it should be hang up. So we have to have all these three things. Three things copied. And if you go to asterisk dial plan help, you can have many options which you can include in the dial plan. So this is actually called as dial plan, so make sure you use the term in the dial plan. So while using Google search and all in the future, if you how to configure dial plan or something, it will give you the actual results, the accurate results. So you need to know the word you have to search for. So these are the steps. The first step will be like this, second step will be like this, and if you have a third step in between, you will have it like this. A fourth step, you will have it like this. So keep on going the step. This is actually helpful when you are having a IVR, or an interactive voice response system, or a customer support system, a call center where the user calls in and he will be greeted with an audio saying about your brand, welcome to something, and press 1 to speak to our customer support representative, press 2 to hear your balance, something like that. So all these things can be configured here. You can play a custom audio and all, how many seconds you want to play, all these things, all these rules can be configured, and that is actually not in the context of this course though, so I am not going in deep into that. But you can always search Google that asterisk dial plan configuration or dial plan help or something. It will give you a very detailed documentation regarding how you can configure the dial plan. Okay, as of now we can copy this till here, copy and paste it here. Okay, now we have the extensions.configuration and we have the dial plan for our extensions 5000, 5001 and 5002. Let's save this. Control O, extensions.config is a file we have going to save, enroll, and Control X to exit. Now what we need to have is we need to go to the asterisk console. So this is our terminal, which is a general Linux server console. There is a special console for asterisk. So we have to go inside that using this command. So this is a command sudo asterisk -r This switch actually defines like the verbose level. When you log into the console, you can see logs are coming in whenever you make a call or something. Till now we don't have a call. That's why there is no log available. So this is a verbose level. You increase it, you can get more data in the console. If you're having a low verbosity level, you will be having low logs coming in. So standard will be a 4. We have configured the dial plan. We have added few things or edited few things in the dial plan. We have also edited the SIP. So if you have edited only the dial plan, you have to reload only the dial plan. And for reloading the dial plan, we have the command called dial plan reload. So I am reloading the dial plan. So dial plan reload. This will reload the dial plan. And if you have any error in the dial plan, it will be shown here. And another one reload command is there because we have to reload the SIP settings because we have made few settings there. So for doing that, we have to reload the SIP also. We should include the command called reload. The SIP settings are also reloaded. So make sure you are not using the reload command always, because if you are having a big network and some 5000 users are logged in, whenever you issue a reload command, it will disconnect few users because the settings are getting reload. And as you can see, many requests are coming in because our server is currently exposed to internet. So some people will be trying to dial into our server. Some spamming bad people out there will be, or robotic programs will be pinging the servers always. So don't worry about that. And you can make the firewall more tight so that this kind of requests will not be coming in. Okay, so we reload the SIP, dial plan we reloaded, then we reload the SIP. If you want to see the users, we can issue the command called SIP show users. SIP show users. So we have 3 users available. And that's all in the session. We have configured our SIP settings, our dial plan, and also we have defined our extensions. We have requests coming in always. Okay. Hello and welcome back. In this session, we will configure a Windows-based soft phone to connect to our VoIP server, which is already configured and running fine. We have already defined the extensions 5000, 5001 and 5002. We will try to register the extension 5000 for Windows. And for that, we have to download a client program. Many Windows soft phone clients are available. You can go to Google and search for Windows VoIP client, and you can see tons of phones: Micro, Edge Lite, Micro SIP, Sophia, Linphone, 3CX. So many softwares are available. You can use it as a phone, a software phone. I am choosing Linphone because Linphone is actually open source. If you are a good developer, you can download the source code and make changes, include your branding, include your customizations, and use it. It is actually available for all the platforms. That's a really good thing with them. It's available for iOS, Android and Windows Mobile, and also desktop. Mac, Windows and Linux desktop also it's available. So all these versions are open source also. Just search for GitHub Linphone and it will give you, for example, just go to Google and search for GitHub Linphone iOS or Android. You will have the source code available there. Then any other things you want to customize, you can do it and you can use it as your client phone. Let's do one thing. Let's not go into that detail. Let's now download it for our Windows desktop. So this is Windows and click on that and you can download it. I have already downloaded just to save some time. I have downloaded it. So this is a Linphone and I'm going to open it here. Okay, you can install it just like any Windows application. Let's have this codec also enabled because it's actually required for video calling. Install may take a while to install. The install is now complete. We are having Linphone installed in our computer. Let's open it. Linphone is open right now. It's trying to register to some Linphone address. Click on Assistant and click on Use a SIP address. And you can have the username as 5000. Then display name, you can set it anyways. Whenever you make a call, it will have it as a caller ID. The username will be displayed. You can have it or you can leave it, no problem. SIP domain is actually our elastic IP, that is IP address of our server, the external IP address of our server. Paste it. And in password, we have the password, the secret as configuration, we have the secret as 5000. So let's have the secret password as 5000. Transport is UDP, by default it's UDP. Let's keep it like that. Use. And here is our SIP account. Just select it from here. Click on it, select it, and we have the status as available. Click OK. And you have the phone ready right now. For demonstration, I have registered the 5002 with my other phone. Let's try to call from Windows to our other phone. 5002. Make a call. I'm not doing a video call. I'm making a real call because I cannot do a video call since I'm using the camera of my computer for right now as recording my video. So I'm not using this one. I'm trying to call. I'm trying to call once again. Actually, I'm getting some error. Let's do one thing. Let's have the log asterisk. Okay. Let's have the log right now. 5002 and call. And we can see subscriber absent. Is there any problem with our configuration? Let's check. This was what? Yes. Here's a problem. We defined it like while we copied, we made a mistake here. We have to have it as 5002. So we need to edit our extensions.config file. Copy. We need to exit from here. Edit the extensions.conf and go here. Here we have 5001. Let's change it to 5002 and Control O to save, Control X to exit. Then we need to go to the console, dial plan, reload, then reload. Now let's do one thing. Let's make the call once again and let's watch the console what happens. I have Linphone installed in my mobile phone with the number 5001 configured in my phone. Let me try to call our 5000 number. 5000. And yes, we have the call. And that's all with the Windows configuration. Things will be interesting when we install it in a mobile device because I cannot use my microphone and camera for this application because I have already locked it for screen recording of this course. So that's why the application will not sometimes perform showing error message because the microphone and camera is already locked by other application. So we have our VoIP server configured, up and running fine. We have configured the Windows client application, and right now we will try to configure the Android VoIP application. And for Android also I am recommending Linphone because Linphone is an open source system. It's available for all the platforms. You have iOS, Android and Windows mobile support, and also you have Mac, Windows and Linux support. On top of it, it's open source. You can download the code, and if you know how to program it, you can modify it to your design or to your will. And let's now try to configure the Android. Now I have an Android phone with me, and I'm going to install Linphone into it, Linphone, and I'm going to download and install. It's now downloading. The installation is about to complete. Okay, the installation is now complete. Let's open the application. Let me zoom a bit so that you can see. Okay. Now click on SIP account, use SIP account. Then the username is, like we said, it's 5001 and the password is 5001 itself, and no other options to configure. Here it's UDP, and one more thing is the domain. Domain is actually the IP address, the elastic IP address that we are having. So this is IP address, the elastic IP address of our server. So three things: username, password, the IP address, and the transport is UDP. Click on login, and you can see it's successfully registered. It's asking permission. No thanks, and allow and all. Okay, so the account is now registered. Let's now go to the settings and check if the codec is fine. Actually, in audio we have, if you remember, we have enabled only Opus and GSM, so we need to enable the Opus and GSM. All the other things we can ignore, we can remove the check mark. So we have Opus and we have GSM. All the other things are fine. Let's go back. And I have an iPhone registered in address 5002. You can see it here. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me call the newly registered Android phone 5001, and I'm making a call. You can see the call is coming in right now. It's in vibrator. Okay, so the call is now going on. If I enable the speaker, actually the feedback will be coming in. Anyway, I'm going to enable it. Hello. Actually, because of the two phones placed very closely, the speaker feedback is coming in, and we have a nice call hold all music. You can hear it. And now let's try to make a video call. So audio call is working fine, and let's now try to make a video call. For video call we have to enable the reinitiate option, but due to some bug in the Linphone also, the reinitiate option is not working. Maybe it's a bug in Asterisk. So let's manually enable video in the settings. So to make a video call from Android, you have to go to settings, then click on video, then initiate video calls and automatically accept incoming video calls. You have to enable video, initiate video calls, accept incoming video calls. And in iPhone also you have to go to settings, enable video, and in video you have to automatically accept. You can disable automatically start also, no problem, because we are going to call from here to here, so automatically start can be disabled. Okay, so because of a bug in the call upgrade option in Asterisk, we have to, if you want to make a video call, you have to enable video call and enable these three settings: enable video, initiate video calls and accept video calls. These three settings should be enabled in the person who want to make a video call. But The source code, since the source code is available, you can always take the source code of Linphone and make the video call happen in a single click. So let's now try to run the video. 5002 I am calling as a video call. Hello. Okay, let me accept it.